You know, and I know, and they know, and we know, we go all in. You know, and I know, they know, cause we know, we go all in. Happy Sunday, Young Hef. What
What's
it do?
What's good? What's good, KDizzle? How you feeling? I'm up this weekend, man.
You up this weekend? Why
Yeah,
you up
man.
this
I'm
weekend?
last weekend I was a little tired, man. I watched the playback, man. I had to come back strong this weekend, so let's go, man.
They got the whole entourage. Look at it. Look, he got the desk. He got the mic up. He got the
It's
all
nice,
dress
right?
on the side.
It's
Look at him.
nice.
Look at him sipping.
We done came up a
sipping
little bit, man. Got my
on
representation
Moscato. What you
over
drink?
here. I got some Prosecco, man.
Prosecco.
I'm trying to be an OG.
Look at this guy, man. Look at this guy. I'm over here in the corner here with my video game stuff
This
on.
is when you gotta hit the button to cheer, man, where it could be like
Hit the button to cheer. We don't have a cheer button yet, man. We're not
all right, well,
that highfalutin. We
that was
getting
a cheer
there.
moment.
That was a cheer. Man, I'm still trying to get my life together. Hold on. Hold on, bro.
I see you working. You gotta
I
get
am
it out there.
working. I am working. We're gonna wait
It's
till a few more people
episode
get in the
4,
building.
man. While KDizzle's getting everything out there, it's episode 4. We appreciate everybody who's tuned in so far, who's been rocking with us up to this point. Tell your friends and family, man. We're an interactive show. Obviously, we're all about having fun. Great conversation, some great content. So stick with us, man.
Yeah, hang out. We do this every Sunday at 9. We talk about real stuff. We talk about a little bit of everything under the sun. Only the things that matter. We leave out the crap that don't. We all dressed up, nowhere to go. We're still under COVID-19 restrictions. Yeah, we live.
That's right. By the way, don't text me, guys, while I'm on live. Don't text me. If you have things you want to say, hit the chat. Don't text me. Don't DM me right now. We're having a public conversation, so come on. Don't be scared.
Yeah, when the chat start rolling, I'm gonna open up the chat so it comes on. Shotty's in the building. Shout out to I Shot You. One of the homies. One of the homies, man. OG, triple OG. Hey, look. Let's get this thing rolling like we always do. We go into quick rounds in sports. Because this is your week, bro.
This is your week in sports. My world, man. One of my favorite.
Talk about our Wizards.
Let's talk about us, man. Round of applause for the Wizards, man. Clap.
Round of applause for the Washington Wizards. For those who ain't Wizards fans, look, we DC, born and raised, DMV area. So we're gonna talk about DC sports 100%. What did you say? They won 7 of the last 8?
7 of the last 8 games have gone to the Washington Wizards. So we'll take that, man. We're in the 12th place of the Eastern Conference. So we're on the uptick. Obviously, talking about the West Coast team that everybody loves to talk about, the LA Lakers. They're 1 game ahead of the Clippers in 2nd place, behind the Utah Jazz. Talk about the MVP race. So, in my opinion, LeBron has probably dropped to 2nd place. I hate to admit it.
Whoa.
I hate to admit it. But Embiid's got the 76ers in 1st place in the Eastern Conference. They're looking good. Embiid's playing strong. I got to say right now, he's leading that race.
Going to be close.
What you think?
I love LeBron, but I would love to see somebody else win MVP. I would love to see somebody else get this shine. I love him. Without a doubt, he's been dominant, but somebody else need to get this shine too. Shout out to 410 in the building. 410 Beard in the building. Look, you brought this up to me. Talk about LeBron and his situation, his Twitter situation. Talk about it.
Well, this is where, because I've had the luxury of being in the Jordan era and the LeBron era, right?
Okay.
And not to get way too off topic here and go into politics, right? And start hurting some people's feelings, because we're all friends here. We all love each other, right?
Not true, but carry on.
Okay. So for some reason, my man LeBron cannot live out here. Like people just want LeBron to stay on the basketball court. You can't do anything but dribble. I don't want to hear you talk
Shut up
about
and dribble.
any
Yeah.
social issues. And the best part about it is he's one of the I say it every time, more quote unquote clean athletes who stays out of trouble, right? Who
Yep.
can probably step out on the political aspect and talk and really get down to it. But to answer your question and to talk about it to the chat, we had some hater, the soccer player that came out, Ibrahimovic, that has said, LeBron
Abramovich.
needs to, yeah, man, he needs to shut up and dribble. He doesn't need to talk about social issues. And shout out to LeBron because he spoke up and said he will not stop standing up for his people and social injustice. And he will not just stick to basketball. So shout out to LeBron, man.
Hey, Blazer Girl 978. Love you, sis. Thanks for coming. We cool. And look, real talk. LeBron has transcended his level of like legendary all-star athlete status with the way he's just lived his life as a whole. The man has come in, done everything right. He's put money back into the community, created schools. He's been a social activist advocate. He's used his platform to spread the knowledge and information without the country, with throughout the country and throughout the world. Um, and has done the right thing at every single turn. So for another soccer player or any other type of player to come out against him and him using what he has built to bring light to subjects that are necessary, it's just hate. It's just
And here's
hate.
the
It's
kicker:
hate on the wrong level.
LeBron so sharp. Not to dive too deep into it, but he pulled his card, the soccer player's card, because he had dove into some politics over the past couple of years. So, and he finished off. LeBron finished off his quote by saying, I do my research, bro." So,
Right.
he's not just out here being the best basketball player in the world. He's actually, opening up a school, like you said. It's got 300 kids in the school. He's got tons of charities. He's actually, foot on the ground, leading by example. So shout out to LeBron. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, man, this is gonna be what's gonna push him. You know where I'm going with it.
Where you going?
It's gonna be what pushes him
Come on,
probably
Clarence.
past Michael Jordan, man.
Pushing past MJ?
Push his legacy. It's gonna probably push it past MJ just because of what he's doing now.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. Because MJ, you know what they say about MJ and them kids. But I think MJ's one of those guys that did a lot in the background, but not as much as like LeBron is. I think LeBron's a different
No, not at
animal
all.
all in itself. 100%. 100%
Not at
different
all.
animal. So shout out to
So
LeBron for stepping up and doing what he's supposed to do, and setting the example for everybody, bro.
So
So
talking about, not to cut you off, but talking about All Star Weekend that's coming up next weekend is one of those. It used to be very interesting. A lot of people used to travel for
yeah.
All Star Weekend. A lot of hotels. A lot. That's a different topic for a different podcast. But now we're gonna have a condensed All Star Weekend for the NBA.
Right.
Everything's gonna be on Sunday. I'm still gonna tune in. I love seeing these guys go at it.
Should we be having an all-star weekend still?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know to what extent the fans are going to be involved. I don't think it's going to be as interactive as before. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking forward to being able to sit at home and watching, those guys have the 3-point shootout in the NBA. I mean, I'm sorry, the dunk contest, and then the way they changed the format with the All Star
Right.
game, they now have a target score.
Right.
So you're gonna have a good game. Like whoever came up with that idea, shout out to Adam Silver for proving it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that made the All Star game live last year.
Yeah. And I'm excited for it too. I'm excited to see it. I want to see it because the format has changed. It has made it more fun to watch. At the same time, look, NBA can do everything they can to make sure that it's safe within the environment. But you know where it's going down. It's going down in Atlanta, Georgia. In Atlanta, Georgia, shout out to my peeps in Atlanta, is one of the hottest places where they're having all the parties with no protection, no mask, no 6 feet, all of that. So they can control what they can control, but they can't control the parties outside of what the NBA is holding. They can't
No.
control the house parties, the mansion parties, whatever it is. I think it's just going to be a hotbed of COVID activity. It can start another spike, especially for our people, which is a bad thing altogether. But I mean, I want to see it. Sounds great. I'm excited for it. I want to see my boy Steph if he does do the 3-point competition, which who
Yeah.
knows will he do? But I think it's just still a bad idea. Same way
But
that
they're trying to create a lot of excitement by not really releasing everybody who's participating up to this point. So we'll see.
yeah, we'll see. But I just still think it's a rough situation. We're not out the woods yet. We're getting close. We're getting vaccines every day, and we still got a long way to go. People gonna do what they're gonna do anyway. I just don't think we should give them an avenue or a reason to do the wrong stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
well
my
said,
two
well said.
12
Hey,
cents.
shout out to John Davenport in the chat. John Davenport is a
Spurs Nation.
Spurs fan, Spurs Nation. I mean, you know, they had their run. They had their run. They had their
Spurs
run.
Nation.
But
We're gonna
hey, I'd
give you
rather be a
a
Spurs
shot.
fan than probably rock with the Wizards for 20 years.
That's shade
Watch
on
that.
that team. You are welcome to the shade on that team because I've been giving them super shade forever. Super shade. Shout out to Mark Nebo for following. Yeah, those cover parts going to be crazy. So let's go into our other quick segment that we started last week, which I think is hugely important. We always say this week in Black businesses. We always find one company that is local or not local, Black business that we highlight and we celebrate. And have from the start, yours. Who is your peoples and who are we talking about today?
Today we're gonna definitely put out some information about Kiera Monshell. KieraMonshell.com. Again, that's www.KieraMonshell.com. Next week we'll try to have some graphics up to where you
What you
guys
talking
can
about
see the
next week? We're gonna
spelling.
do that right now.
Oh, I
What
just
you
did that
talking
just to
about?
spice you.
It's 2021.
I mean, look at that. Bright up your life. I mean, with Kiera Monshell, she's gonna help you out with everything when it comes to your fashion, your lifestyle, your beauty. Check her out again, KieraMonshell.com. She is local. And again, you can find her on all the socials as well at Kiera Monshell. Very
Dresses,
stylish. And
tops,
Mother's Day is
bottoms,
coming up.
jumpsuits.
Mother's
It's
Day is coming up.
and they look affordable. Look at that.
Why not, right?
Look, I ain't look. All right, that's hot.
And get your hair
That's
done.
hot right there. And get your hair done.
Yeah,
You're doing the
absolutely.
most,
And
bro.
tell her and tell her, Marcus sent you. We'll take care of you from the All Dressed Up
You
podcast.
know what we need to start doing? We need to start for all these that we're putting up. We need to make sure that we get a coupon code if they go there
Oh,
for
they
my
got my
show.
cash app. They got my cash app.
No, we need to get a coupon code. Well, and if you go there, you know how we do. Get the coupon code, say you 5%.
Yeah.
5% of the $100 is $5.
Hey.
All from us. We love y'all. All dressed up. ADU podcast. Shout out to him. Mine this week is going to be the homie McCray Multimedia. Okay. Your local photographer. He does videography. He does everything you're looking for, headshots, portraits, professional, or just overall. He does engagement parties. The guy is lit. I've known him for a good long time. He does great work. And he's got reasonable prices. I'm not going to go on it, but it's good dude, family man. You see it right there. So your videography, headshots, multimedia, your weddings, your special events, your birthdays, the things that you're looking for, he can handle for you 100%. Again, that's McCray, MCCRAE, multimedia.com. Okay. Good people's minority owned and operated. Celebrate your people. Not only that, invest in your people. So shout out to McCray Multimedia and shout out to Kiera Monshell Fashion. Both of them have great websites, which I love, and they do good work. So that's this week in Black business. And look, I'm going down the line so we can make sure we stay on topic because sometimes we
Yeah,
go
man.
hard in the paint.
Yeah,
We
man.
go
Let's go.
hard in the paint in different areas,
Let's
right?
go, KDizzle.
All right. So anytime we hold this podcast, we always go down the rabbit hole. Okay. And this week's topic, and we in the rabbit hole early. It's like I said, the 15 mark. Gilgamesh, what is up? Gilgamesh in the building. Appreciate you stopping through, my man. This is our
Well,
podcast. So,
before we go into the deep dive, you want to talk about COVID parties
COVID parties.
and how we were talking
Oh
about?
man, yes.
Yeah,
Tell your story, man. Speak your truth, bro.
yeah. Let's talk about COVID parties, right? Like, so
Mm,
it's starting to be the time to where certain people have the vaccine. You know, certain people haven't had the vaccine. Do we know what the vaccine is going to ultimately do? We don't. We hope. You know, obviously, we're optimistic. But, you know, everybody's obviously getting the cabin fever, and you're getting the time now where you're going to get that text message and that email, and you might get an invite to a party, and you ask your loved ones and your family, is it worth me attending this party? And you might even get an invitation with some rules subject to COVID. You know, obviously, bring your mask. You know, we're going to operate at this capacity, this and that, this and that. But here's the kicker, though.
mm,
So I go to it. I'm not going to say any names. I go to a real good friend of mine's, you know, house, and it's for his
uh-huh.
birthday, and we partying and everything, and we get there, and everybody's all uptight. We got masks on, you know, and like it's COVID, so we're following the
Right,
rules, but so you don't really feel like it's a real kickback function, like you know how we used to get it in. So
right.
I'm asking like the rules, like okay, so like you know, what about the food? Obviously, you know, people got to move around to make their plates, things of this nature, but not the rain. But what about what happens when you start getting that liquor flowing? When you start
Yeah,
feeling good, when that music is cranking, you start to feel good because you're out the house. You
yeah.
know, it's funny to see a picture of a COVID party in the beginning and
Right,
then take another picture about an hour in, and then take another picture about 2 hours later. Your mask probably around your neck because you're drinking, you
right.
know. And these are the things like I'm laughing, but you really got to be serious and think about,
I'm
you know.
100,
You really
100%.
do.
That is the danger. That is the danger of going out and going to these parties during COVID-19
Did
because you
someone
go
say
in.
party?
Yeah, that's Al Russell. Nobody listens to Al Russell. Shout out to
Mm.
Al Russell. Al T. Russell in the building. Hey, if you go to these parties and you let your hair down if you got hair, right? You go there, you get a little liquor in your system, then all those precautions go out the window, right? Now everybody's partying, everybody's in each other's face, everybody's dancing, and that's where it gets tricky. You're already in a situation when you know there's a possibility. The problem is most people have not been tested. Okay. Most people have not been tested for one. And two, if they got it, most people don't know if they have it. And three, most people are around other people. Even if you're not around a lot of other people, guarantee that somebody at that party is around a bunch of people that you don't know because you don't know everybody that's in that building. Now, unless it's a family event where everybody's been tested or everybody's been in a bunker or been at home and you want to take that risk, that's up to you 100%. Either way, if you go to a party, you take that risk. But know what you're going into ahead of time. Because you know and I know, like you just said, you go to a party and as soon as you get loose, everything comes off and all the inhibitions go out the window, and that's how it spreads. And that's the issue that we talked about earlier when we were talking about COVID-19 and um, All Star Weekend. Because All Star
Those
Weekend is
hot
All
spots,
Star
right?
Weekend. All Star Weekend is All Star Weekend. For the homies who know, we used to go to Miami for All Star Weekend or used to go to that city for All Star Weekend. We know what it was and why you went and why you went with the homies.
Speaking of Miami,
Period.
I was looking at Instagram last week. I saw people living it up in Miami. I'm like, where are y'all at? I mean, balling out,
My,
balling out. Apparently, Miami is vaccinated.
no, okay. My uncle has a good name for Florida. Every time we talk about Florida, he say, Florida, God's waiting room. Florida is a different place, which is why you can go online and pull up Florida Man, and everything you can possibly imagine or not imagine will come up in that feed. Anything you can think of crazy, Florida Man has done it. So
You
they
keeping it
just
real
different.
about Florida
They
tonight.
just super different, man. Shout out to Chris Phelps. Thank you for stopping through, man. It's All Dressed Up podcast. Today we are right about to go into this rabbit hole, bro.
Let's
Got to
do it.
go into it. Okay, let's do it. And I heard this from a conversation. It was probably on TV but a conversation on TV saying that we have this normalized culture. When people say we need to normalize that institutional racism was real, we need to normalize um, not being okay. We need to normalize being able to go to therapy, right? All those things have stigmatism with them, and that's that kind of movement. And the one that I heard that hit me the most is we need to normalize failure,
Hmm.
right? And I'm gonna say, what's up, Mr. Cole? I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna give this quick example before we go deeper into it, because I got a lot of gamers that ain't here with me. And when
Hmm.
I say normalize failure, this is what I mean. Um, so a lot of people play. If for those who don't play game, this game called Apex Legends. It's like Fortnite, but it's a little more adultish. It's a battle royale. It's like Call of Duty Warzone. 60 people, 100 people jump into one map, right? One map, fight it to the end. The top team wins, right? In that game, you're not always going to win. You lose more than you win um, in those matches, right? I don't care who you are. You can be the top person. You can be an Apex Predator. You can be the top piece in the league. You're going to lose more matches than you win, right? So we've been able to normalize that type of failure and keep playing and keep working through it. Now, when we don't normalize failure is when we have those pee-wee football teams or those pee-wee soccer teams or those pee-wee baseball teams that those leagues have not only trophies for first, second, and third, but then you got seventh place, eighth place, ninth place, 12th place trophies. Tell me how that makes sense, Cal.
No moral victories. Don't give my child thank you for coming here an eighth place trophy because you're setting my child up for failure. And I'm not gonna allow it. I'm just being honest. I mean, we got to keep it real, and it comes to a point to where, and we talked about this kind of prepping for the show, right?
Right.
You you start to get almost like I have to be given something, or I have to be rewarded for my effort, even if my effort wasn't better than my peers. And unfortunately, in this society, we all know how it goes. And
Right.
even if your effort is better than your peers, you still might not get an opportunity. So what you're talking about is being able to respond from failure, you
Right.
know, and accept failure, is a little dangerous, but I would say respond and bounce back from failure. What do you do when you're not accepted or when you're told no? Like you were saying, and I'll let you continue and go deeper. Like a lot of people develop these adult, issues and these concerns because unfortunately they were given the eighth place trophy when they were
Mm-hmm.
growing up. And I've been heard of this term like their bottom's been powdered. You can't
Mm-hmm.
come out here in today's world, especially now, especially now with that type of mentality. We talk about having a sense of entitlement. And I'll let you go, deeper because, me and you worked in the industry together, excuse me, to where we got told no all the time. And I'll let you
Yes.
go, and I'll let you talk about that.
So let me ask the chat, since we got plenty of people here. Let me ask the chat, right? Um, here's what I'm saying. When we're talking about failure, what's the best? Let me give me a second. Let me what's the best way to put this? All right. Here's the question I have for the chat, right? Type one. What up, Tyrell? Type one if you think eighth place trophies are okay. Type two if you don't think eighth place trophies are okay. When we talk about little league, so we're talking about teams. Type one if you think eighth place trophies are okay. Type two if you don't think eighth place trophies are okay in any type of sports or any type of
Do
event.
you believe in moral victories? Right. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah. Gilgamesh says two. Sprinkles are for winners. Donnie
That's
says two. What
hilarious.
up, big sis? Donnie says two. Come on. Type one if you think eighth place trophies are okay. Type two if you think they're not okay.
I see. That's what I'm talking about. Gilgamesh 2007. There's no such thing as a moral victory. I totally agree.
And see, here's what I'm
And
getting at
that's
when we
real.
say, and here's what we're getting at when we say that, right? Because if you don't know how to accept the failure, or you don't know how to accept the loss, a lot of compound issues begin to grow. Okay, there they go. Most more victories are won with the physical victory, and then the morale comes after. Here's what you have.
Mm.
If you don't know how to deal with failure, if you don't know how to deal with loss, this is what happens. These things all come into fruition. Depression, anxiety, um, uh, uh, you get you get stagnant. You don't know. You kind of lose a sense of how to grow if you don't
Self
accept
conscious. You get self
sub.
conscious.
Yes,
Low self
you get
esteem.
subconscious self-esteem. That's what we're talking about. So a lot of the kids, older and younger, because they haven't dealt with that failure. Two is not a winner. Three is no one remember. Number
Oh
one,
my God, my man's
only
on point
Al
tonight.
Russell would only Al Russell would quote the artist MC Nelly. I don't know any.
Yeah.
I don't even know when he said that. Al, you must have all his albums. Look,
Al's got that old CD book that we used to have in the car, that leatherback joint that you zip up and you got the sleeves inside it. And he got like the top 40 hits from like
yeah,
1993,
the
94.
the top
Yeah.
Nelly hits
But
from
I
the
love you
Sweat
though,
and Suit
Al.
album.
But
Look,
look at that
no,
comment
that's
real quick,
go
K
ahead.
Dizzle. We ain't even gotta go into the victim side. It creates people with a sense of entitlement. That's deep.
That is deep. It does create a sense of entitlement, but more so than anything, it creates the worst half. What is the victim side? It's the issues of the self esteem, which our kids, because of how society is set up with social media, is everything. If they don't feel like they have the right clothes, or they have the right amount of friends, or they're not seeing a certain light, they see it as a failure. And that causes big issues, self-esteem issues. And that grows with them because their inability to grow beyond that. And that's perceived failure from peer pressure. So we talk about normalizing failure. We're talking about being okay with learning how to grow from your mistakes.
But it's also levels to it too, K Dozy. You're talking
Hmm.
about, from childhood, you're talking about with your siblings, maybe. You're talking about how you're treated in school and how you're made to feel like, you're doing okay when you're probably not. And you just kept getting passed on to the next grade and just getting let go and not getting a proper education. We talk about it in sports. We talk about it in different college programs. Some people get the right
Hmm.
education, quote unquote, the right education, and some people are still paying back for education that they probably didn't necessarily get the right path to. And it's
Hmm.
just levels to it. Then you have to the deeper dive, right? Is
Hmm.
corporate America because from the moment you got that eighth place trophy
Right.
to now you're in corporate America, and we're talking about your family's lives are at stake. Everybody's
Hmm.
depending on you, and you get told no, or you get told something that might hurt your feelings. And what you gonna do at that point? Are you gonna have that sense of entitlement like the chat's talking about?
Right. Right. So that sense of entitlement that people are growing with, because they got those eight place trophies, causes bigger issues as they get older. Failure builds character, a
Mm.
hundred percent. But it's not only does failure build character, but how you deal with failure is what really builds character. And so it becomes with teaching on how to deal with it, and that goes with normalizing. And
Well,
so,
what about preparing for failure?
hmm,
I mean, a lot of people might think that could be a sign of weakness, but you're gonna fail. So I think as part of preparation, I'm not trying to go too deep, is obviously preparing yourself to accomplish your goals, right? But you also have to prepare your foundation to where if you don't accomplish those goals, it's not
hmm.
over.
But we're always told to prepare for success, and when failure comes, deal with it,
Mm.
right? When failure comes, you deal with it. But the part that we miss is understanding how to deal with that failure, right? Kevin said, "Stop drinking it." Hey, what are you drinking
Stop
over there,
drinking
young?
and listen. Stop drinking and listen, Kevin.
Chat.
But
I want
shout
to. I
out.
want to
Thanks
put
for
that to the
coming
chat,
out,
right?
big bro.
How do you teach? Um, what's the best avenue to teach children or young adults how to deal with failure?
But
How do you
even
teach
but
them the
even
best
that
routes?
comment, but even KDizzle, you know the comment right there. I never prepared for failure. I just accept it. That's
Hmm.
easy for you to say with all due respect.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people can't just accept it.
Right.
So how does that person that made that comment in the chat transpose that to his friends and family and people that are learning from him or her is the question.
Right. Right. The biggest question is, um, how do you make sure to prepare your people, whether it be your team, whether it be your kids, um, for failure and dealing with failure? How do you teach them? Like, okay, so I had a great conversation. I met with all my siblings, the other night, and we talked about how we kind of grew up and how we kind of worked through things. And the biggest thing that we came up through that our mother gave us was to not stop until we get the solution. Okay. It wasn't a question of not being able to figure it out. It was just figuring it out and just being okay with if you miss it, okay, how do you get it the next time? So what she really instilled in us is how to get beyond that failure, really how to deal with it and move forward to get to where you want to go. So
Almost
it
how
was
to
always
almost how to find a win out of every situation.
exactly always how to find a win out of every situation, which carried us into everything, every aspect of life on how we dealt with things. Now, keep in mind, not everybody gets that. Not everybody understands that. And sometimes when people run into those brick walls, they lose it. They can't deal. They don't know how to get around it. They don't know how to move around those situations. So how can we figure out what's a better way for us as a society to normalize failure other than using that eighth place trophy like we talked about before?
I guess the first part is defining what failure is to you. You know, not to take it
Hmm.
too deep. Because
Look
I
at
go, man.
you. Come on,
But
F.
but define what failure is to you, because in order for me to come up with the whole game plan and to prepare and to go in the right direction, right, for
Hmm.
success, what is failure? Is failure accomplishing or trying to accomplish something and you don't? Is failure, going up the ladder and you're trying to get to this step, but you stop at that step? I mean, in a sense, it goes back on me saying more victories aren't real, but you can win from failure. And that's the thing about it, and I
Hmm.
think that's what makes some of the people in the chat so strong about saying it's a product of wisdom,
Hmm.
because it comes down to you define what failure is to you, right? And then it's okay, if I do fail, because this is failure to me, I define failure, what am I going to do now to move forward?
Right.
Or am I going to sit there and be in a funk and continue to be stagnant and unsuccessful for 5 or 6 years and look for somebody to pull you out? Or can you be, a person again that can accept the fact that, hey, you know what? I tried, it didn't work out. Let me dust myself off and go back at it.
Mm.
Because there's
Mm.
a lot of people that are great at what they do. A lot of people will tell you the story, and it took like Steve Harvey, for example. He wasn't a comedian that came out when he was 14 years old.
Right.
That guy tells stories to this day about how he had to hustle to get this ticket to get to that show. I mean, it really comes down to how strong and how much fortitude you have, in my opinion.
Right. And you said the main thing that you expanded 100%. What is failure to you? That is the biggest thing. What is failure to you? First, you got to figure out what does failure mean to look like to you, and also what does success look like to you?
Hmm.
Because it's all based on the individual, on what you think success is. Because your level of success is different from mine. My level of failure is different from yours, 100%. There's so many different ways you can kind of push. We can kind of go down rabbit holes, but the first thing you should always figure out is what your level is and what it looks like to you. That's the only way that you can start to overcome it in that fashion.
I agree.
But the other part is normalize. When we talk about normalizing it, you talk about it as a community being okay with not winning every time. And as Ricky Bobby say, you either first or you're last, right? That's the kind of culture we live in. Either you're first or you're last. And how do you, when you go talk about moving in that type of environment, it just makes it hard for kids. It just makes it hard for kids. Like I said, they have everything in front of them. The younger generation get all the information from TikTok, from IG, and other social media websites that use, and they're shown a certain perception, and they feel like if they don't fit that certain perception, they're a failure. Now you talk about social emotions. You talk about, like, again, self-esteem. And you talk about problem solving issues. So
But let's talk
where
about
can
this, if you don't mind me interjecting
go
real
ahead?
quick. What about, everybody always setting their standard to someone else? And especially in our community, we set a person on a pedestal, right? And we talk
Right?
about sports a lot. It's an easy way to kind of
Easy.
use an analogy. But and my girl always says this to me because I tend to do it too, right? But we always want to compare. We
Ah,
always and I don't want to necessarily go as far as say it's a crab in the bucket mentality. But we
no, it's
always
the
want to compare and we always want to say, okay, this or that, or is he better than that? But once we see somebody succeeding and excelling in a certain area, you automatically put them up against whoever else did it, the predecessor, or whoever else is doing it. And then it's either this or that person, as opposed to us as a community coming together and being able to, grow and use your strengths and my strengths, as opposed to be it's either me or you.
hmm
You know?
But you talking about the Joneses. You talking about the
Yeah.
Joneses debate, keeping up with the Joneses. Um, Everybody has their own, like you said, view of success, and the problem comes into play when we start measuring ourselves to other people's success. And unfortunately, people just do that. We just do that from time to time. We look at things and say, "Hey, I'm not where I should be," and lose sight in the light and the blessing of where they are in the now,
Right.
and that makes it harder for them to get to that level that they're looking for because they're always looking at the person next to them, they're always looking at that grass on the other side, and that goes in so many directions.
It does,
We can
man.
talk. We can get so many directions. That even goes into the last conversation that we had about cheating, right? Always looking at that grass on the other side, and that goes into having that own personal issue of not knowing, not being happy within yourself again. So it always comes full circle back into being able to say, "Hey, I'm happy with who I am. I love who I am now. I have to accept who I am now, so I can grow to be the better person." And if I'm not able to deal with the things that may not go my way when I think they should, then I'm going to have a hard time, moving into the next level in which I'm supposed to be because I haven't dealt with the things that are in the now. So when you talk about that, normalizing failure and being okay with not always being first or losing, or understanding that you're going to learn something with what you go through before you get to where you want to go,
But you
then you get
also gotta
stuck in the
be
process.
but you also gotta be real with yourself, you know?
Yeah, that's what
And
we're
and
talking
if
about.
and if right, and if you say you wanna be in a certain position, or you define failure to be such and then you don't obtain what you want to do, again, it's about, and then like you says, the grass is green and it's probably fake. You got to make a decision, like we always say.
Yeah.
You how many times, K Dizzle, are we gonna grind and grind and grind, and then it's hard for people to admit it, right?
Mm-hmm.
because I see the comments in the chat saying, you don't necessarily need to worry about the competition. But how many people do you think really work with the blinders without really paying attention to the rest of society and quote unquote the competition?
The only way you get to that point is through time and wisdom and knowledge. When you get as you get older, you start to not care about those things. So it's difficult when you're younger because you're so headstrong, and like I said, you're always on that comparison track. You're looking at things so that this person has that at this time and that person has this at that time. And it
Right.
goes back to talking about, it's a marathon, not a race. So, um, self love first and foremost will really help fix a lot of things. And
But you brought up a topic too before I forget, and I don't mean to cut you off again, but you said something about it being generational.
mhm. Sip, sip, sip. You said
You
it
know?
so eloquently. I just want to say that. Go ahead, man.
No, go ahead. I was just saying you were saying it was generational.
No, what topic did I bring up? You put your pinky finger up and everything. Kim says hi, Marcus.
Hey Kim, how are you?
What's that
Put your
topic?
pinky out.
You did put your pinky in. So what were you saying?
No, I was saying you were talking about it being generational, but at the end of the day, let me talk. I don't like to come on the podcast and really expose myself and put myself out in the deep dive, right?
Expose yourself.
I don't know. Slow
Expose.
down, slow down. But I gotta admit, like me being in a sales career, right? Let's talk about it because a lot
All
of
right.
us do the same thing. I think just like you going to be a police officer or a firefighter, and again, not trying to murky the waters. I know they do some serious stuff, but a lot of people careers can really weigh on you over time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in a sales culture, it's always competitive.
Right.
It's always competitive. So let's talk about your sales professionals that go in and grind every day, who don't punch a clock because they know they're going to get paid for their value and their effort.
Mm-hmm.
And every month you're put out on a sheet of paper or you're put on the chalkboard by saying, hey, the comments are lighting up. This is where you rank. This is what you did. And this is basically how we value you in the company. And then,
Right.
like, you got to bring that home and then kind of think about it and figure it out to go back in and do it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that. There's a lot of stresses that you can take in being in that sales type of environment every day as well.
Being in sales was the best and worst thing of my life. It's the best and the worst thing of my life because you learn. I'm gonna tell you what it does in sales. Sales helps you or coerces you into normalizing failure. The biggest thing we're taught first in sales is how to handle no.
The
Right?
sale starts when you get told what?
No. Sales starts when you get told no. Right? So as you grow within sales, you always understand the no. You always learn how to work around the no. And you don't win until you turn the no into a yes. Right? And sometimes it's a good win, sometimes it's not a good win.
Got to
But
overcome those objections,
you got to
baby.
overcome objections, have the objection Rolodex, you know what I'm saying? Turn that no into a yes, make a sale, you make money. So that that can cause a couple of different things. When you're grown up into that culture and you learn that, it becomes, like you said, like we talked about earlier, um, it becomes an issue being able to turn that off when you leave the job place.
Now look. I say this all the time to my friends, right? Go ahead, KDizzle, and
So
dive into that.
so if we are conditioned to understand that no doesn't mean no, and we're not taking look, we're talking about a sales aspect. We're not talking about the other sick aspect. Okay, we're talking about the sales aspect. when no means no, um, that's what you're taught. I mean, no means that listen to go after the no's till you get a yes. It's hard to take that home, and sometimes that pours over into your
Sorry,
home
guys,
life.
I gotta talk to my wife. Shout out to Chris Dykes. Go ahead, Kato. I didn't mean to cut you off again.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't know how to turn that off. That comes with any job that you do. If you're a police officer, that was a great example of that. Sometimes when you're off duty, you don't turn it off. Sometimes when they go home, they don't turn it off because they
Hey,
don't know. It takes time to know how to tune it, turn it on and off in each situation. Even if whatever job if you're in a profession where people talk to you a lot, it's hard for you to turn that off and not be a listener when you go home because people know that you're easily to talk to
you
and
know
they're
who I
going to call
always
you
thought had a
and
tough
they
job
absorb your time. What?
when it came to turning it off and turning it back on? A correctional officer. You
A
go to work
correctional
and
officer.
go to jail. You go to work and you go to jail, and then you clock out and go home. That's like work release.
Yeah.
I have no disrespect to the correctional officer. Seriously,
Hmm.
that's some tough stuff, man. If you think about it, if you're not mentally prepared, you're going to go lock in jail for about 10 hours,
Right.
and then come
Right.
home with your kids and your wife.
Right. And deal with
You know,
all types of people and have to change that or turn that off. Same thing. People have an issue. What's the biggest thing we should say when sales assault come in the door? Leave your wallet in the car. It's hard for people to turn off that stuff from home when they go into the workplace.
yeah,
Don't carry that baggage to wherever you go. And that
yeah.
takes time and skills and knowledge and just experience to keep doing that over and over and over again. And so being able to normalize, working both sides of the coin is a hard thing to juggle. But the only way that you get there is by being okay with understanding who you are and being able to turn that off and know that, hey, this ain't the jail. This ain't the CO. I'm not in my cruiser. I'm not trying to sell a car or sell a cell phone. I'm not trying to save a life as a doctor. I'm just trying to go home and be with the ones that I love and without treating them like they people at work. Treating
And
them like
see,
them
and see,
inside.
a whole nother conversation for a whole nother topic is when work becomes your home. And you talk about bringing work home, but what if all you do is work? And it's tougher, man. It's easy to say that, but a lot of people they're at their job 12 or 14 hours. These people out here on the front line, talking about corona and the nursing business and everybody out here in the emergency rooms and stuff. Like, just imagine, like, working and seeing all those families and going through those experiences. Like, there's some strong-willed and strong-minded people out here, and then some people just can't do that. It's not for them.
So I'm gonna post this to the chat. Okay. Um, from work, what is or was your coping mechanism when you got home from work? Your stress release. What was your coping mechanism? Was it one, alcohol, two, smoking, three, something else? One,
Smoking
alcohol,
weed.
two, smoking, three, something else. Look at Gilgamesh. Wow. I
And we
already
hope
know.
you weren't smoking weed on the job. It had to be when you were at home.
Talk about coping mechanism at home.
You will never have time to do anything. Have to still have a life. Yeah, all the
You
above.
Well, you got different stresses. You got home stresses. You got work stresses. But what is your coping mechanism? Dang, I'm gonna have said one and two. Drinking one, two, smoking two, three, something else. One, two, or three.
Meditation.
Something
That's a
else.
good one.
Meditation. Meditation is good.
Meditation's
Nam
a good
yo
one.
horenge krekyo. Nam yo horenge
I
kyo.
tried to meditate at work the other day, and I was like, I couldn't do it.
Huh?
I tried to meditate at work.
Like I said, all of the above. Good God.
Yeah.
Number four. Whew. They need all of it.
Yoga's a good answer.
Yoga's a good answer. Yes. It's hard to you can't it's difficult to hookers. Okay,
Chris
okay.
Dykes is on a roll.
Chris got Chris will walk around with a pocket full of 20s.
Perfect.
Perfect. Number three. tandem yoga, running
Running in
circles,
circles.
running circles. Oh my God. But you need a coping mechanism. Some people it's video games. We on Twitch, so some people it's video games. Some people it's drinking, smoking, it's meditation. Um,
And let's talk about that too, really quick, right? So a lot of people are working from home.
Trap music.
So and trap music, right? So the normal, times to where you might get a snow day or you might complain being late on traffic and get that extra 15 to 20 minutes of like hot water in the shower, you lose that
Mm-hmm.
opportunity. So what about coping while you're working from home? Let's talk about the people who I would say are blessed right now, but
Mm-hmm.
hey, everybody has a different opinion.
Now you talk. Now you go into another area. Where are we in the rabbit hole? We have so many branches right now.
We
We just
riding, we
going.
rolling, man.
We
Coping
now you
with
talk
the
about
work from
COVID
home
stress.
job.
COVID stress. Look, let me tell you something. Therapy is on the rise. Okay, therapy, especially Black therapy. Do not be afraid to reach out for help because there's so many people out here suffering in silence. Okay, if you need help, ask for help. There, take away the stigmatism. Don't let anybody stop you from seeking the help that you need. Stop thinking
Absolutely.
that you're weak because you look for it. Just get it because you need it and you need that outlet. Smoking and drinking, yoga, all that will get you only so far. Talking through your situation and having somebody that's qualified enough or somebody that cares enough that can give you good knowledge and information and direction is always the best option. Let me get that PSA out right there right now. Okay. Because suffering in silence is the worst thing you can do. And a lot of people through this COVID outbreak are suffering in silence. So we need to get therapy to be the number one thing that people need to go search out and seek for 100%. Because look, my kids gone crazy. I've gone crazy. Just being in the house with all this craziness, it's it's something that you can't do by yourself. There's no way. Never say can't. You shouldn't do by yourself. Okay,
Well,
you shouldn't
let's
do that by yourself.
let's schedule this to be a deep dive on another episode because that it's real, and like a
Yeah.
lot of people are commenting in the chat, it comes down to how much do you really want to communicate, and like you said, in our community, you don't want to feel weak, and you don't want to, probably expose any type of weakness because that's something that we were always taught not to do. But like you
If
said,
you
though, man, if go ahead.
if you have insurance, you get a therapist for 6 months for free every year. I don't check your insurance. Okay. Thank you for that Gilgamesh. Check your insurance and make sure. Don't be afraid to find that help
And
if
your
you need
job
it.
can also offer like EAP in certain avenues as well if you're going through something tough. So don't be afraid to reach out to human resources and just see what's out there for you because it's some tough times, like you said.
Yeah, even if you don't think you need it, you should go do it anyway. And reason being is because we as humans, especially black people, are so prideful. Are so prideful
Mm.
because we are looked upon as each other. If somebody's going to therapy, they always think that stigmatism that they're weak and they can't help themselves. They don't have any control. That is not the case.
And
This
sometimes,
life,
like, it's always good to talk to somebody else. Like, I can't always talk to you,
yes.
K Dizzle. I can't always talk to you. It's good to talk to somebody else every now
It's
and then.
good to talk to somebody else. I would say talk to somebody that knows what they're talking about, that knows what they're doing, that specializes in that type of care. Okay? Because you have to seek this out. If you want to get out of that rut, social media ain't going to help you. There are not enough memes on Facebook or IG that will help you get out of your rut if that's the only thing that you're seeing. They're not enough. They're not enough. And the problem with being in those states is that if you're in those states and you're constantly thinking about that stuff, that's always what you're going to see projected in front of you. So whatever you're thinking about most, that's the thing that's going to be in front of you the most. You think about how your bills ain't going to get paid. Guess what? They ain't going to get paid. If you're
Mm.
thinking about having issues at home, guess what? You're gonna have issues at home. This is how things work. This is how life works. Whatever you think about the most, and anybody can tell you this, Hef, if you ever thought about buying a car, right? You're thinking about that car, you've been looking at it for a while. What do you see on the road more than anything else?
That damn car.
That damn car. That
That car.
damn car. You see
That
that
Ford
car
Escort
everywhere
that
you
I
go.
wanted to buy. I wanted to buy that Ford Escort so bad.
That ZX2 that ruined your life that you saw for 3 months in a row. That Ford Escort. So, man, this is what happens. So you got to be able to go out there and look for the help that you need. Look for the help that you need. Let me see if I can do it.
Let's see if
Have
you
for
can do
me. I
what.
know. Oh, he ain't in the channel. Bastard. I can't shout him out because he ain't in there. The law of attraction. Thank you, Malika. The law of attraction stands unbeaten. Okay.
Shout out who? Who's not in the channel?
Oh, you're not on it. I can't shout you out because I'm looking on
Oh.
my Twitter channel. I mean, my Twitch channel. And your face ain't in there, but I see your face there.
Got you.
You gonna take another sip of your drink with the pinky?
Nah, man. Why you keep messing with my pinky, man? We having a good conversation, you know.
We all
Great
having a good
conversation, great deep
conversation.
dive, and that's what it's all about. I mean, you know, we always try to make it a thoughtful conversation,
Try to
and
make it a
like,
thoughtful conversation. So,
and
and the last thing, chat, help me out. One, if it was a good topic. Two, if we could have picked something better. I always like to get them involved. One, if it was a good topic. Two, if we could have picked something better.
or you
Where's
can
LT
always hit us
Russell?
up on our
Where's
shows
LT Russell with the
on the
Nelly
socials
reference?
too.
Huh?
I said they can always hit us up on our socials too and
Yeah.
let us know if they
Where's LT
want
Russell
us
with
to
the
talk
Nelly
about
quote?
something.
Al Russell is the biggest Nelly fan on the this side of the East Coast. Okay, because I don't know anybody else who can quote Nelly. Okay, something
Al
better.
Russell, hey,
Kevin
but no
Howard said something
disrespect
better.
though. Al Russell is a life of the party. Kevin Howard is something better. He's an ass. Kevin is the uncle at the party that be in the back, like, yeah, the chicken was good, but you know what I'm saying, could have had a little bit more
Could have had
soda.
more paprika on
Yeah, a
it.
little hater. Yeah, hater.
Could
That's what
have
he.
had
But I
some
love him
paprika.
though.
They ain't had no mumbo sauce. See,
Think about it
that's
though.
the
You
type of
said,
guy he
can
is.
we talk about something else? Something better.
Plus or
Bad one.
minus.
Yeah, bad one.
Oh man. No, he said Nelly didn't ride his rap.
If Nelly didn't write his shit, then I'm all the way out. That's like somebody telling me, Kermit, somebody didn't write Ashanti's "Oh Baby" like you said a couple weeks ago. She didn't write the "Oh Baby."
She didn't write the "Oh Baby."
Oh, then that
Oh
changes everything
baby.
for me.
That's the only thing she wrote. Half of Ashanti's songs had the one lyric in it. Like 45 seconds of the 2 minute songs or the 3 minute songs was "Oh baby." Quit clowning,
If
Kev.
Nelly didn't
Kevin
write
put
his
himself
own
out there.
shit,
We love Kev though.
if Nelly didn't write his own shit, who wrote Nelly shit? That's a deep dive for another week.
That's a deep dive another week. Matter of fact, who chose the sweatsuit album name?
Who bought that?
Who bought that?
If you put that double disc together, you could have a good intro. If you put that
Stop.
sweatsuit album together, you had a good intro.
Stop it. Stop it. All right. We need to cut that out. Shout out to Nelly.
Funny combo. Nah, no disrespect to Nelly, man. If
No
he ever
disrespect
sees
to Nelly.
this, we love you, Nelly.
He just called the smoke. Free smoke. Free smoke. So on that note, Forte all love. We look, man. I put up the socials. You can follow us everywhere. Shout out to my Twitch family, my Facebook Live family. Make sure the only way we grow, the only way we win is by you guys helping us share everything that we're doing. Share it to all your friends and family. Everywhere that you see us, Young Hef streams, KDizzleDC. We mess around and we end up using our real names from time to time. That's just what it is. We appreciate you stopping through. We do this every Sunday at 9. We go for about an hour. Sometimes we run over. Sometimes we run a little short. Next week, we're probably going to run a little early just because, again, we talked about it before. It's going to be All-Star Weekend. All-Star Weekend. And the game's going to be on. So we probably do it maybe around 7, I say. But we always try to keep it real, be honest, be transparent. If we got to expose ourselves, we expose ourselves. But more importantly is that you learn something and we all gain something new from the conversation. That's the biggest reason on why we're here. And that's the only way we're going to make it happen. Young Hef.
Well, that's a lot to follow, KDizzle, but hit us up on our socials, man. KDizzleDC, Young Hef Streams. Pinkies up, man.
Pinkies up. Pinkies up in the building. We'll see y'all next week, man. Love y'all, bro.
You know, and I know, and they know, and we know, we go all in, you know, and I know, they know.